Hi, everyone. You're listening to the Parts Pros podcast, the only podcast made specifically for automotive parts professionals. We're here to dive into the latest industry trends, expert strategies, and real world solutions to drive success and boost your parts department bottom line. This is season 3 of the Parts Pros podcast. If you have not checked out seasons 1 and 2, we got some really great information on those seasons. And you will also have seen Anthony before in seasons 1 and 2. Anthony is our guest today, but let me first introduce Emily. You all know Emily. She has been here many times. She is joining us from our official sponsor, Revolution Parts. Emily Hannigan Page is a parts and e-commerce guru. Emily, I don't think 5 years is right anymore. I think we got to bump that number up. It's been at least 6 at this point. Working with both OEM and aftermarket parts industry leaders, I think you're at least 6 now.
That's got to be right, although I am losing count. I am excited to be back here with Anthony. We're in season 3 now, and I'm excited to talk to one of our own at Revolution Parts and a proven parts e-commerce guru himself.
That is an excellent intro. I also don't think I introduced myself. I'm Amanda. I say a decade of experience, and I'm keeping it at a decade because I don't want to think about how long it's actually been. I've worked with dealerships for over a decade now to help drive growth in the ever-evolving digital landscape. Worked in parts, fixed ops, sales, worked with general managers. Basically every position in the dealership, I have worked with them and helped them to market online. And that's where my area of expertise comes from. Now, Anthony, our guest, you've seen him before. You recognize him from the previous episodes. He is formerly from BMW of Westchester. And while he was at BMW of Westchester, he was the parts manager and the highest grossing BMW dealership in the Northeast region. I did the region right there. But you've recently changed titles. I think, what is it, 6 months now since you came to Revolution Parts?
Yeah,
He is now...
Yeah.
He is now part of the Revolution Parts team, working under Jensei in our dealer consulting services, helping dealers just like him to learn how to do e-commerce and to improve their ROI from their e-commerce e-commerce efforts. Anthony, talk to us about your experience and why you came to Revolution Parts.
Well, I mean, number one, I was 2 decades in. I'm dating myself here. We all know I don't even think Emily's old enough to be in the automotive industry for 6 years, but we'll say she started when she was 16. Same thing with Amanda. Would you start when you were 15? But
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, yeah, we gotta get the compliments out of the way, you know. But no, I mean, Revolution Parts now has so much more support for the dealers. That wasn't around when I was kind of coming up in that e-commerce world, you know, 2017, 2018, pre-COVID, that wasn't there. I mean, personally for me, I mean, I was ready for a change in my career. So that's what brought me here. But when I was thinking about change, I enjoy the automotive industry. I love cars. And when you look at like Shark Tank, I mean, how many times do they say that, you know, your product is so specific to one person? We don't have to worry about gender, sex, anything. We need somebody that's 18 years of age or older has an automobile, which is, I would say, probably 85% of adults, you know, unless you're in a metropolitan city. So, you know, it seemed like just a no-brainer that this would be a home for me to, you know, spend my next 2 decades.
There you go. All right, you heard it here. He's going to be with Revolution Parts for 2 decades. We're holding you to that.
I hope
Anthony.
so. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we'll keep you, Anthony. We'll keep you.
I mean, the reviews we've had from our customers so far have been glowing. So for now, you're definitely stuck with us. So Anthony, talk to us about why it is so important for parts sellers, especially dealerships, to plan a 12-month promotional calendar.
I mean, in this world, we're all about automation. It's nice to be able to sit down, spend an hour, and just look at the calendar. My personal preference used to be look at the quarter, you know, sit down, plan 3-4 months in ahead. So that way I know it's like a safety net, you know, you have something in there. Not always were there people that were in the front end of the marketing like yourselves, like you and Emily, talking to you guys internally and then seeing you guys deal with a lot of customers. That wasn't around years ago. So, you know, that's kind of a huge game changer. So when you have the support and you have some knowledgeable people, but sitting down, looking at 3-4 months, I really think if you could spend a full hour and I don't even think it would take you an hour, but let's conservatively say an hour, do the whole year, do something for New Year's. We're in Q4 right now. So, yeah, it's or maybe your Q1, whatever you're at, look at the next Q, hit those points, and then just maybe keep going. Maybe you got time and you're like, you know what, I'm getting used to this. And really try to make those, if you're doing promo codes, try to make sure they're specific to you that way, because you almost want to build a brand, whether you're starting an Instagram page and you're throwing your promo codes there, or you're on YouTube, or, maybe you're going old school with Facebook. It's, if you can make those promo codes specific and the people hear the same name, whether it's, a model designation with your name, something to that effect, it'll definitely help you out. I think just having like a safety net, knowing that, hey, I'm good. I can go about my day. I can go about the next couple months. And then you could always add along. Who knows? Maybe you have a conversation with one of you two and you're like, you know what? I like that idea. You can go add to it. It doesn't have to just be one promo. You could have an in cart that's for subtotal. You could have a promo code with a discount for shipping. You could also even set it to where you have to have a minimum quantity, $200. You have to spend $200 to get this discount. So I think that's what really drives that average order value. And we really push the average order value. You got to get that up.
Well, and Anthony, I think one of the big things about planning ahead is you have to think like a business owner, not a consumer. Because let's take, what's the biggest shopping week of the year? Black Friday. Let's take Black Friday, for example. If you as a consumer are thinking about Black Friday, you might start thinking about Black Friday, November 7th, November 14th, prepping. It's usually somewhere around the 21st to the 23rd. You're going to start prepping maybe a week, 2 weeks in advance, looking at deals, seeing what people have got. As a consumer, you're not really planning ahead. But as a business owner, and let's be real, if you're a parts department leader, you're owning your parts business. As a business owner, you have to plan way ahead. And so if you wait until your consumer brain kicks in to start doing promo codes, to start doing deals, you may miss out on sales entirely.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. What I would like to urge everybody out there, let's treat promotions just like your relationship. If your significant other has a birthday, if your mother and your father have an anniversary, are you going to be going out looking for flowers that day? No.
Yes.
You better plan it. Well, you better stop that. You better stop that. All right. I need a better example. All right. Your gas light's on. Are you going to get gas before the gas light's on? Like, yeah,
there are two types of people in the world: the people who plan ahead and the people who don't. And I guess what you're saying right now is be a people who plans ahead.
Proactive, not reactive.
There you go. That's good. Okay, talk us through how you build your annual promo calendar. What's the starting point? Where do you put it? What's the process there?
So the Revolution Parts dashboard's super easy to navigate. It's nice that you can go in there and you can pick dates. You could even overlap them. But let's make clear that we're putting caps on these, because you could do a 20% discount off of shipping, or even 50% off, but you could cap it at $20, cap it at $30. I used to love doing 100% off of shipping and cap it at $30 or $25, and then I would put that in my site-wide banner. Use shipping code, free shipping up to. And it's all about that verbiage too, because I'll tell you what, I got kind of caught off guard. And I'm a Libra. I'm a super nice person. I'm easygoing. I don't like confrontation. I had a customer call me and say, this promo says free shipping, but it's not giving me free shipping. Well, what are you looking at? How much are you looking to spend? I looked at it and I'm like, well, it's like $70 in shipping on a wheel that you're looking for next day. Well, shipping code says free shipping. I'm like, I forgot to put up to. But this dude was so, pardon my French, hell-bent that he was like, if it ain't in writing, I want the discount. And it's like going back and forth. You just have to cover your bases. CYA, right? It's cover your bases. Make sure, if it's not in the site-wide banner, it's super easy to update your terms and conditions really quick. And, you spoke to it previously before about having like a terms and conditions as like a little bit of a safety gate. It doesn't hurt to do that. But going back to setting it up, I like looking at, you want to incentivize people no matter what. So let's not just look at holidays. Let's look at month to month. Make sure there's something in there, because there's usually something that you can reference. And if you don't have anything to reference, just make it something more dealer specific. Maybe it's, Red River, and, Red River 1, Red River 20, Red Rover, maybe I'm dating myself. Nobody knows what Red Rover is here. By your faces, nobody knows what Red Rover is.
Come over.
Exactly. Thank you.
We
So,
played
but
that. We played that.
there's no way Emily played that. I'm just kidding. But but we're trying to make them specific. But so January, for instance, you got New Year's Eve just rolling through. You got New Year's Day. You could do a New Year's, whether it's just NY in the name. You could just run something that says welcome the year, welcome 2028, something like that. Whatever you want to do to make it specific, boom, there's your January. And then overlap it. We got February coming up with Valentine's Day. You could make it something special like that, like Sweet Ride, something like that. You could make that a full month promo. And then, roll into March. You have a lot, depending on what school district
Spring break.
you're in. Yeah, spring break. Exactly. I was just about to say, you got March and April, spring break. So, spring break's coming up. So you can literally build it month by month. Have it already dedicated in there. And that way, I really don't want to say set it and forget it. But I'll bet you every parts person is loving set it and forget it. Because they're like, oh, yeah, I'll spend 1 hour for the whole year and then I'm done. Sign me up. But it's not really set it and forget it. This is more of a safety net, like a last-ditch Hail Mary. It's the buzzer's ringing, you're at the half-court line, you're throwing it. Or you're Dak Prescott and you're on the 30 and you're winging that thing, praying somebody's going to catch it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just enough. But, that would be, I would say, a bare minimum. And if we can coach our dealers to be proactive and not only just promo codes, but be proactive into the point that you have enough markup in your shipping. And we spoke about this before, Amanda. You can't just have 5 or 10% markup in shipping. You need 15, 20, like minimum. And then when you start talking expedited, we're already in the e-commerce platform. People are already paying for convenience. Why not charge them or quote them, I should say. Let's say quote because they're the ones picking their shipping method. Why not quote them? 30 to 35% on an overnight, 28 to 30% on a 2-day. UPS has a 3-day. I actually prefer UPS, and I'm going to sound completely biased here, but UPS, you get one driver. They'll pick up the 1-day, the 2-day, the 3-day, and the ground. I love that. I hated when FedEx Express had to show up for a 2-day, and they picked up on the other side of the building because the title clerk would tell them to come to the front, and I'm on the other side in the back door at the drop. Like, oh my God. I'm getting like chest pains thinking about that because it's so annoying.
Sprinting across
I literally
the
would have
dealership
to run down 202. I'd be running down the road trying to flag the guy down because he didn't get my pickup.
With a box under your arm.
No. I would flag him down and make him drive back. No, I wasn't running with a box.
I'm just imagining you carrying a brake rotor under your arm. I mean, you're in Pennsylvania, so Pennsylvania, right?
Yep. It's Delco to the fullest. There's some crazy stuff that happens. Stuff happens.
I feel like in Pennsylvania, that's just another day. A guy running down the highway with a box under his arm. That's just a Tuesday.
You know what's funny? I feel like I'm a fast runner because I used to run in my heyday. But when you see yourself on camera and then your coworkers pull it up on camera, there's a video, like an 8-second video clip of me. But because of the way that the video footage was, I blink. So it's almost like I look like I'm really fast, but it's just a blip in the camera. But everybody was like, oh, look, there's Flash. So, yeah, I got a nickname because of that.
I love that.
You seem pretty fast to me.
Here I am wearing a red shirt, too.
There you go. So I can imagine some of our listeners are thinking to themselves, like, geez, how do I sit down and plan a whole year of promotions? That's pretty intimidating. So what are some of the go-to seasonal promotions you always include in your annual plan? Not just holidays, but, times of year. What should the Rust Belt be planning for? What are like the typical maintenance periods that you can kind of capitalize on with your promo schedule?
Ooh, you know what? That's a really good call. I would have thought about it at some point, but you know what? It's good to collaborate. This is why we collaborate. You just spark some interest right there. First and foremost, you got back to school. You got spring break. There's summer traveling. I used to sell roof racks like crazy. And think about when people actually need them. Summertime, traveling, going on vacation, and then wintertime, usually November, December, people doing snowboarding and stuff. I used to have people would overnight stuff because they're like, oh, I'm going on this trip and I need it. And it's like, if you didn't get it out that day, they're like, I'll just cancel it. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna bust my hump to get this out today. But yeah, I mean, seasonal stuff. That's a great call right there. I mean, back to school is a huge one. Um, in Pennsylvania, we do state inspection yearly. So another thing I used to like to do was make a specific promo code called inspection, whatever the year was or the month, something like that. I would actually put that in my abandoned cart, and that way it kind of keeps you it keeps you fair, keeps you honest. So this way you're looking at your abandoned cart to update it every month. Because that's the other thing. We want to say set it and forget it. We want to make your life easier. But guess what? If you don't have any engagement, that's going to be where your turning point is. You don't have the engagement to increase your sales, you're going to flatline. And then you're going to be questioning everything else that's going on. Why isn't marketing bringing it in? Are you looking at your abandoned carts? How much abandoned carts do you have? And if you're looking at your abandoned carts, abandoned orders and then your abandoned cart savers. Those are two different things. Let's make sure we clarify that. But those need to mirror each other. And you should be, if your abandoned cart promo is working at its finest, your abandoned carts actual orders should be going down each month, especially with the volume going up. So another reason that we like to do the whole calendar, it's analytics, it's metrics. I mean, how do we gauge? I mean, think about it. You guys are marketing experts. How do you gauge your performance? You have ROAS, return on ad investments. So like you have to be able to gauge what works well, and I would look at those, and which is really neat. Revolution Parts has an actual report that you can click on that'll show you, a date range if you want to show you performance, how many times it was hit, how many dollars the subtotal brought in. So, stuff like that really does, I think it adds value from a consumer standpoint. You're the seller, you're having to, plan, and, maybe you're not as fortunate as some others that you get to talk to other people that are like-minded or that have dealership experience, or like you two. I got so lucky when Emily reached out to me when I was back at the dealership like 2 years ago. I was like, man, what a breath of fresh air. Because a lot of people in the dealership are very, very monotone, very flat, very direct. And you guys are just, I mean, you get to feel the energy, and it makes you want to do better. So that's why you spend the hour planning out your entire year.
That's funny because Emily and I both get so excited about automotive marketing that sometimes people tell us we need to calm down. So you're saying the opposite. We don't actually have to calm down. We get to be excited. I have a side question. I know that this is a little bit off script, but I'm just curious about this. If you're running a coupon code, how long, you talk about analytics, how long should you run that coupon code with 0 purchases before you say this coupon code is not working?
Oh God, honestly, I don't even go a second month with it. I really don't. If I see 0, yeah, if I see 0, if it's a 10% or a 5% off shipping coupon and it does nothing, I'm either A, gonna up the percentage, or B, I'm changing the actual code because, but let's also keep in mind, are they putting these in abandoned carts? That's the other thing. I can genuinely say once I figured this out, there was never a promo code that wasn't used if it was put in the proper place. It was marketed in the proper place. I used to, every morning I was in the Revolution Parts dashboard. If it was a new month, I was putting whatever that code was, the very generic one, the month one, if you will, that was going right in a site-wide banner. And if I had something specific for like Black Friday or Cyber Monday, there's a really cool feature. You can only do it once though, but you could schedule the banner to turn on at a certain date. So that's another cool thing. You could set up your Black Friday, leave the day before Thanksgiving and come back on a Monday and then change the Cyber Monday. You know what I mean?
Or add to your terms and conditions that your order is not going to ship. We do not ship orders on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's in the policies right there. I think that's just like that's deeply ingrained. I think you would think that's common sense. I did have a guy argue with me about a Saturday order. I placed an order at 3:00 on Saturday. Why didn't it get delivered Sunday? I'm like, we're not Amazon. And
I
then
cannot tell you, being in the dealership world, I cannot tell you how many 4 p.m. on Friday emails I have received to only receive a 9 a.m. on Monday morning email that says, why have I not heard from you? Because, sir, you emailed me 2 hours ago. That's why you haven't
believe
heard
it or not, parts people need days off too. Sorry, buddy.
We all do. That's why Sunday's God's day. I don't care what your God is. My God could be something in a mug, but it's a day off regardless.
Hey, if Chick-fil-A is closed, the dealership should be closed too.
There you go.
Oh my God. if there's a Chick-fil-A next to your dealership, I just want to tell you how fortunate you are, because we had a Wawa next to us, and don't get me wrong, Wawa's got decent food, but there's people that live off of that. So
I do remember my first time going to Wawa. I'm from Texas. It's no Buc-ee's, but Wawa
ooh, yeah,
they do have
Bucky's.
pretty good food.
You could start a whole nother subject on food. I've been to Bucky's. That's pretty cool stuff right there.
It
Should we
is.
switch the theme of this episode into gas station food options that we prefer, or?
Absolutely.
I think
Casey,
everybody just
quick tip.
pauses.
If you've worked at a dealership, if you've worked anywhere where your lunch break is limited, you've probably had a gas station burrito. And I'm from the South, so like Allsup's is the gas station burrito of the South if you're really okay with a stomach ache. But there's gas station burritos all over this country that are excellent for the parts manager who's got a 5-minute lunch break.
Yeah, it's not even
Amen.
a break, really. You leave to get the food, and then you just eat in front of your desk.
Eat as you're walking back in the door.
Well, as
But
much
we'll
as I'd
lunch.
love to continue talking about food, let's get back to promos here. Anthony, you've given us some cool strategies, some good discount and promo ideas, but let's get into the nitty gritty a little bit. What mistakes have you made in discounting parts that you would caution others to stay away from?
Oh man, Amanda and I just talked about this too, and it's a little, it's a bad confession. It's actually a huge mistake, honestly. I did not put a cap on a 20% off in-cart promo. So and it was a $200 subtotal. So when they hit $200, they got 20% off. Instead of putting a cap on it, people were spending, they were getting 20% off of everything. And then the icing on the cake was I had a regular promo that I forgot to put a cap on it. So I was getting hit from both ways. And I came in on Monday with like 77 orders thinking, man, that really worked out. And then after like the third one, I was like, what did I do? Where is this? And then I found it. So once again, though, this is back in like pre-COVID days when there was not the support, the coaching, the guidance, the mentorship, people being proactive, checking in on you. I think it was like 21, 22. People from RP started reaching out. Hey, just checking in. Now you got a CSM, customer success manager. Like that, 5 years earlier, that wasn't there. So, different story, different time. But yeah, I don't even want to tell you I don't think we made any money. I think I was just giving stuff away. But at that point, I just needed the orders to go away. It's like either you delete them or you void them out and cancel them and send them an email, or you just take the loss. I took the loss. I took the L, and just, it is what it is. At least this way I'm moving some parts, but no gross profit. No,
Well, and that right there, that is why I always tell dealerships when you're doing any kind of a special offer, whether it's a service coupon, a parts coupon, a discount on a vehicle, you want to make sure that you have terms and conditions. And especially for the parts department, my favorite terms and conditions is not valid on out of stock items, because anything can be out of stock for any reason. If you come in on a Monday morning after putting a coupon code in and you forgot to cap it, suddenly you can have a whole lot of out of stock items and you have a reason to cancel those orders, but that covers your behind in case something does happen. Obviously you want those orders. You don't want to disappoint those customers, but having in your terms and conditions out of stock items just means that, let's say somebody ordered a drive shaft and you accidentally gave them 20% off that drive shaft and you don't want to lose $200 today. That is a great way to say, I am canceling this order because it is out of stock.
No, that's a good one. I just had a epiphany really quick here. We didn't even talk about automation, how you could put the promo codes in automation. I just thought of that. Like I think that would be a neat idea to, if you really wanted to push it, you make it automated. So this way, every time a new order comes in or moves, you give them a promo code for a future purchase. So it almost like reels them in for customer retention.
Yeah, the way to automate that would be in your thank you email. You can schedule when somebody places an order a thank you email. You can have automatically in your thank you email a promo code added for future orders. So you can say this is valid only on future orders after this date. Here's a promo code as a thank you. It's a really easy way to bring people back again and again. And you can change the code randomly. You can make it one-time use so they can't use it over and over again. But if you automate that in your thank you email, they've got it in their inbox, and the next time they want to place an order, you're the first thought that they have. All right,
Nice.
I have one more question for you, Anthony, and then I think we are going to wrap it up for the day. How do you discount parts without losing money? And why are discounts so important to drive volume?
So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword here because nobody wants to think about discounts because they assume it's a race to the bottom. What I can say, pricing is going to get you the traction, right? So if you have good pricing, it'll build some traction. And that's kind of the emphasis in the very beginning. But there's almost like stages, just like it is with riding a bicycle. You start off with the training wheels, you go to the balance bike, and then you get to a big boy bike. So the training wheels approach, I would say, very competitive pricing. And also depends, what your goals are. Some people have volume incentive. Some people have backdoor money. Some people get return dollars for volume. So, you really got to look at it as a big, broad picture of, all right, and this is where the planning comes into play. So if you're early stages, training wheel stages, you want to give some really good discounts and maybe pad, parts people know what matrix stands for. Do a matrix pricing so that, real lower, like 25 and under, you got some nice markups. And then maybe you're, 3 to 500, your cost plus 12, maybe 500, 800, your cost plus 10 and a half. And then maybe 1,000 and up, your cost plus 9. So you're super competitive. The goal is to incentivize them to buy. And then the convenience, which is them buying other things from you. And that's where that markup is on the matrix. So maybe, they need the $1,200 headlight that you sell at cost plus 9 or whatever. But then they buy the 10 millimeter, 10 pack of bolts, the expanding rivets, the lock nut that they had the sawzall off because the car's rusty after 5 years, and these are things that you're maybe cost plus 80, maybe cost plus 180. Who knows? I mean, you can make the markup whatever you want. If you're a parts person listening to this, you know what matrix is. And I guarantee you in your DMS, you already have something super down low. And most warranty companies now are already giving you like 180, it cost plus 80, cost plus 100. So if you're mirroring what the warranty manufacturer's warranty kickback is, you're bound to make the gross there and then get the volume with the lower tier price. So I don't think it's a race to the bottom, and I think it's really just you gotta give yourself a plan. A lot of times when I talk to customers, we'll look at the average order value. That's the sweet spot. Maybe you want to target that $200 to $300 with the best discount, and then pad the higher level, pad the lower level. So once again, depends. I think you really got to just give yourself an overall view, because the beauty of this whole thing is that you can tailor it to your needs. It's not just a switch that you flip on. All right, it's on. Let's see what happens. No, what do you want to happen? Let's do it. Let's set things up geared towards you. Let's make your gross. Let's get your ROI. Let's pad your shipping profits. So, I think you and I honestly could probably have we could all have a whole conversation about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that as a dealership, you need to look at it not as discounting parts and losing money. You need to look at it as getting orders you never would have gotten otherwise. You may not make,
they never would have drove to your dealership.
absolutely. You may not make as much money off of each of those orders, but the money it adds up in the end. All right, guys, that is all for this episode of the Parts Pros. This has been an awesome episode talking about discounts, coupon codes, meeting with Anthony, who has been doing this for a little while, made a few mistakes. Thank you for sharing your accidents with us so that other dealers don't make the same accidents that you did. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and Anthony and Emily for joining me today. For more information on the Parts Pros and our official e-commerce sponsor, Revolution Parts, visit partsprospodcast.com. We're on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere you can think of that you can listen to a podcast, we're there. So subscribe to us on any of those sites or again on our website, partsprospodcast.com, so that you can catch our next episode. Thank you for joining this episode of season 3 of the Parts Pros podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.